You are having a conversation right now. Not this one, a real one. Someone says something to you across a table or a room or a few feet of ordinary air, and without any effort at all, you hear the words, you understand them, you feel something about them, and you respond. The whole thing feels instantaneous, seamless. The world arrives and you react to it in what feels like no time at all. You experience yourself as present, as immediate, as right here, fully engaged with what is happening in front of you. That is what it feels like to be you. But let me ask you something. What if none of that is happening when you think it is? What if the conversation you believe you are having in the present moment already happened? Not in some philosophical sense, not as a thought experiment, but literally, physically, measurably, a fraction of a second before you became aware of it. What if the moment you experience as now is already the past? What if you have never, not once in your entire life, experienced a single thing in real time? The answer is going to terrify you. Now let's be generous to the common sense view because it feels overwhelmingly correct. You reach out and touch a hot stove and you pull your hand back immediately. You feel the heat and you react, and the whole thing seems like one continuous moment. You catch a ball thrown at your face. You flinch at a loud noise. Your nervous system seems fast. It seems plenty fast. Fast enough to keep you alive, fast enough to drive a car, fast enough to play an instrument or return a tennis serve. You have been navigating physical reality your entire life without once thinking, this information is arriving too late. It works. You are here. You survived. You might say, my brain is fast enough. I react in time. If there were some terrible delay, evolution would have removed it. And that is a sensible argument. Let's check it. Let's be honest with the neuroscience. If you want to understand how the universe actually works, not just how it looks, but how it works, hit that subscribe button. We are going to take things apart and see what makes them tick. Let's find things out together. Here is the first number that should stop you cold. A nerve signal. The electrical impulse traveling along the neurons that connect your senses to your brain moves at somewhere between 0.5 meter per second and 120 meters per second, depending on the type of nerve fiber. The fastest signals in your body, the ones wrapped in a fatty sheath called myelin that acts like insulation on a wire, top out at around 120 meters per second. That sounds fast. That is 270 miles per hour. That feels like it should be more than adequate. But light moves at 300 million meters per second. Your nerve signals move at 120. You are not running on light. You are running on chemistry. Here is the analogy that makes this land. Imagine you have a very long garden hose, and at one end someone turns on the tap. The water does not travel through the hose instantly. It moves at the speed water moves through a hose. If the hose is long enough, there is a real measurable gap between the tap being turned on and the water arriving at your end. Your nervous system is the hose. Your brain is the far end, and the hose is longer than you think. The distance from your foot to your brain is roughly 1.5 meters for an average person. At the speed of your fastest nerve fibers, a signal from your foot takes about 15 milliseconds to arrive at your brain. From your fingertip, slightly less. From your face, almost nothing. But here's the problem that neuroscience ran into when it started measuring carefully. The signals do not arrive all at the same time. Your foot signal and your face signal and your hand signal all depart at different moments and travel different distances and arrive at your brain at different times. Do you see what happens? If your brain processed each signal the moment it arrived, your experience of your own body would be a cacophony. Your face would feel things before your feet. You would experience your body as temporally fragmented, different parts of you living in slightly different moments. You would feel like a badly synchronized film where the audio and the video are just slightly, nauseously off. But you do not feel that. You feel unified. You feel simultaneous. You feel present. So how does the brain do it? This is where it gets uncomfortable because the answer is one of the most unsettling things neuroscience has ever discovered. The brain does not process signals as they arrive. It waits. It collects incoming signals and then, deliberately, mechanically, without your knowledge or consent, it holds them and synchronizes them and stitches them together into a single unified moment of experience. And then it presents that constructed moment to your consciousness as now. The now you are experiencing is not now. It is the brain's best editorial reconstruction of what just happened, delivered to you slightly late, labeled as present tense. The delay is roughly 80 milliseconds for simple sensory signals. For more complex events requiring interpretation, a word, a face, an emotional expression, the delay stretches to 200, 300, sometimes 500 milliseconds. Half a second. In half a second at highway speed, a car moves about 10 meters. In half a second, a professional tennis serve has already traveled 2 meters toward your face. In half a second of processing delay, the world has moved on without you. Now I want to take this deeper, because the delay itself is not the worst part. The worst part is what the brain does to hide it. In the 1980s, a neuroscientist named Benjamin Libet ran an experiment that caused a crisis in the philosophy of mind that has not been resolved to this day. He asked subjects to perform a simple voluntary action, flex a wrist, move a finger, whenever they felt like it, and to note the position of a clock hand at the exact moment they felt the conscious urge to move. He also measured the electrical activity in their brains with electrodes. What he found should have made the front page of every newspaper on the planet. The brain showed electrical activity, a slow buildup of potential called the readiness potential, beginning about 550 milliseconds before the movement. The subjects reported becoming consciously aware of the urge to move about 200 milliseconds before the movement. That means the brain had already begun preparing the action more than a third of a second before the person was consciously aware of deciding to do it. The decision happened before you knew you were making it. Let me say that again, plainly. Your brain initiates your voluntary actions before your conscious mind is aware of them. The experience of deciding, the feeling of being the author of your own choices, the sense of free will as an immediate present tense act of self-determination is arriving late to a party that already started without it. This is the part that keeps me up at night, because if the conscious experience of deciding follows the neural initiation of action, then what is consciousness doing? One uncomfortable possibility, and physicists and neuroscientists have debated this bitterly for 40 years, is that conscious awareness is not the driver of your actions. It is the narrator. It is the part of the system that receives information about what the brain has already done and constructs a story in which you chose to do it. The authorship you feel is real as an experience. As a physical description of causality, it may be a very sophisticated illusion. You are not steering the car, you are watching the dashboard and believing you are steering. And it goes further. The brain does not just delay your experience, it actively edits it. There is a phenomenon called post-dictive processing, where the brain revises its account of what just happened based on information that arrives afterward. If you see a flash of light followed very quickly by a sound, your brain will sometimes retroactively move the flash to coincide with the sound, even though the flash clearly came first. The brain rewrites the past to make it more coherent. Your memory of what just happened is not a recording. It is the version your brain decided after the fact was the most plausible account. You are not remembering the present. You are accepting the brain's preferred edit. Now bring this back to your body, right now, in this moment. Everything you are experiencing, the weight of your body in your seat, the sound of these words arriving, the sense of the room around you, is approximately 80 to 500 milliseconds old. The world you are living in is a reconstruction of a world that has already moved on. The present moment as you experience it does not exist. By the time it reaches your consciousness, it is already history. You have never, not once in your life, experienced the actual present. You have only ever experienced the brain's best guess about what the present was, delivered to you slightly late, with the timestamp quietly adjusted. You are living in a bubble of constructed time, drifting about half a second behind the physical universe, and it has been this way every moment of your existence. But here is what I keep coming back to. Here is what changes this from terrifying to something else. The fact that your brain constructs your experience does not make your experience less real. It makes it something extraordinary. The brain is not deceiving you. It is doing something almost incomprehensibly complex, integrating signals from billions of cells, correcting for transmission delays, resolving timing conflicts, suppressing noise, building a unified, stable, navigable model of reality out of electrochemical chaos. And it is delivering that model to you so seamlessly that you have spent your entire life never once noticing the machinery. The delay is not a flaw, it is the price of coherence. You do not experience fragmented chaos. You experience a world. You experience a self. You experience continuity and presence and meaning. And you do all of this inside a skull, in the dark, using nothing but chemistry and time. Your consciousness is not a live broadcast. It is something more remarkable than that. It is the universe editing itself into sense. If this twisted your brain a little bit, good. That means it's working. I'll see you in the next one.